Imagine. You are an explorer. The year is 1871. You have spent your entire life being told one thing about Africa: that it is primitive, that it is uncivilized, that its people are incapable of greatness. You believed every single word of it. But today, everything you have ever been told is about to collapse, because you are standing in front of something that should not exist. An ancient, magnificent, perfectly engineered city, rising out of the heart of Africa, built entirely from stone, without a single drop of mortar, without cement, without any modern tools whatsoever. And it has been standing here for nearly 1,000 years. You reach out and touch the stones. They fit together so perfectly that you cannot slide a single piece of paper between them. Your hands are shaking. Your mind is racing, because you know what this means. Everything was a lie. This is the story of Great Zimbabwe, the city that did not just challenge Europe's narrative about Africa. It destroyed it completely. And what happened next is one of the greatest crimes ever committed against human history. We are going back to the 11th century. While Europe was stumbling through its dark ages, something remarkable was happening in the heart of southern Africa. In what is today the modern nation of Zimbabwe, a people were rising. The Shona people, one of the most sophisticated civilizations in the entire ancient world. And they were about to build something that would stand for 1,000 years. Great Zimbabwe was not just a city. It was a fortress, a royal palace, a center of international trade, and the beating heart of one of the most powerful empires in African history, the Zimbabwe Empire. At its absolute peak, the Zimbabwe Empire controlled trade routes stretching from the deep interior of Africa all the way to the coast of the Indian Ocean. Gold flowed through Great Zimbabwe, ivory, copper, iron, precious stones, all flowing through this magnificent African city. But here is the part that will truly shock you. Great Zimbabwe was not just trading with neighboring African kingdoms. It was trading with the entire ancient world. Arab traders came to Great Zimbabwe. Persian merchants came to Great Zimbabwe. And perhaps most shockingly of all, Chinese traders came to Great Zimbabwe. Yes, Chinese traders. In 11th century Africa, while European history books were busy pretending Africa did not exist, Africa was already connected to the entire world. Already trading. Already building. Already thriving. Now let us talk about those walls. Because this is where the story becomes truly extraordinary. The builders of Great Zimbabwe did something that engineers today still marvel at. They built an entire city from granite stones. Carefully selected. Carefully shaped. And stacked one on top of the other. Without a single drop of mortar or cement. Nothing holding those stones together. Except pure skill. Pure knowledge. Pure African genius. The walls stand up to 11 meters high and 5 meters thick. That is roughly the height of a 3-story building. Built without mortar. In the 11th century, the main structure known as the Great Enclosure used over 1 million granite blocks in its construction. 1 million blocks. And after nearly 1,000 years, those walls are still standing. Still standing. Without a single drop of cement. The entrance to the Great Enclosure features a narrow stone corridor. The precision is so extraordinary that you cannot slide a single piece of paper between those stones. Not one piece of paper. Stones cut and fitted by human hands in the 11th century, with such precision, that after 1,000 years, not even paper can fit between them. This was not primitive. This was mastery. African mastery at its absolute finest. So when European explorers arrived in 1871 and stood before this magnificent city, what did they do? They panicked. Because Great Zimbabwe was not supposed to exist. Not according to everything they believed about Africa. And so they did what people do when the truth threatens everything they believe in. They lied. The first European to formally document Great Zimbabwe was a German explorer named Karl Marx. He stood before those magnificent walls. He walked through that impossibly precise stone corridor. And his conclusion: the Queen of Sheba built it. Not Africans. The Queen of Sheba. With zero evidence. Zero proof. Zero archaeological support. Other European explorers followed with their own theories. Phoenician traders built it. Arab merchants built it. One man actually suggested that extraterrestrial beings built Great Zimbabwe. Aliens. They would rather believe in aliens than believe Africans built it. This was not just ignorance. This was a deliberate, systematic, calculated attempt to erase African achievement from the pages of history, because colonial powers needed Africans to appear primitive and incapable, to justify stealing their land, enslaving their people, and exploiting their resources. Great Zimbabwe destroyed every single one of those justifications, so they tried to bury it. Colonial governments in the region actually passed laws, making it illegal for archaeologists to publish findings that credited Africans with building Great Zimbabwe. They used the power of government to protect a lie. But here is what they could not bury: the artifacts. When archaeologists excavated Great Zimbabwe, they found gold ornaments of breathtaking craftsmanship, iron tools and weapons of remarkable sophistication. And then, something that made even the most stubborn colonial minds go completely silent: Chinese porcelain dating back to the 14th century. Inside Great Zimbabwe. Persian pottery. Inside Great Zimbabwe. Arab coins. Inside Great Zimbabwe. Proof. Undeniable. Irrefutable. Proof that this was a thriving international trading city, connected to China, Persia, and Arabia, run by Africans, built by Africans, owned by Africans. The man who finally told the truth paid a very heavy price. His name was David Randall McIver, a respected British archaeologist. In 1905, McIver arrived at Great Zimbabwe. He excavated carefully. He studied everything meticulously. And then he published his conclusion. Great Zimbabwe was built by Africans, specifically the ancestors of the Shona people, who still live in Zimbabwe today. The backlash was immediate and ferocious. McIver was ridiculed by the entire European academic establishment. His findings were dismissed. His reputation was attacked. All because he refused to protect the lie. But here is the thing about truth. You can attack it. You can suppress it. You can pass laws against it. But you cannot destroy it. Because truth has a way of surviving, no matter what you do to it. Today, Great Zimbabwe stands as one of the greatest architectural achievements in all of human history. It is a UNESCO World Heritage Site. It gave the modern nation of Zimbabwe its name. Zimbabwe, meaning House of Stone in the Shona language. An entire nation named after this magnificent African achievement. And the Shona people who built Great Zimbabwe nearly 1,000 years ago are still there today. Still on the same land. Still carrying the legacy. Still standing. Just like those walls. So the next time someone tells you Africa has no history, no great civilizations, no architectural achievements, tell them about Great Zimbabwe. Tell them about 1 million granite blocks, fitted together with such precision, that 1,000 years later, you still cannot slide a piece of paper between them. Tell them about the laws that were passed to suppress the truth. Tell them about the man who told that truth anyway, and paid the price for it. And then tell them that this is just one city, one empire, one story, out of thousands that Africa unearthed is here to tell. They tried to bury African history. They tried to erase it. They tried to rewrite it. But they failed. Because the stones are still standing. Because the artifacts are still there. Because the Shona people are still there. And because we are still here. Telling the story. Unearthing the truth. One video at a time. This is Africa. Unearthed. Next time, we uncover the story of an African queen who looked the most powerful empire in the world directly in the eye and refused to bow. Not once. Not ever. For 40 years. Subscribe to Africa Unearthed so you do not miss her story. The secrets of Africa are just getting started.